Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to be talking about one of the most difficult topics that I find the conversation with people, which is bankruptcy. Before we get into the video, guys, go ahead and click on the subscribe link, turn on notifications so you can stay up to date on all of the financial advice that I'm putting out there. Now, bankruptcy, a lot of people assume that if they file bankruptcy, everything is immediately forgiven. You are relieved of all your debt. You don't have anything else to do, which unfortunately for a majority of people who have ever went through the process or explored the process, it is a lot more time consuming than that. So again, in today's video, we're going to be going through kind of the pros and cons of bankruptcy. Now, in my opinion, personally, bankruptcy is a very, very last resort. I feel like there are a lot of people that take it for granted or see it as a very easy out for debt that they have accumulated throughout the years. They're not working with a financial counselor. They're not working on repayment of the debt. They just want the easy way out of immediately being forgiven. Now, with that being said, guys, there are a few situations where it is the only option. So once you have exhausted and explored everything else, then bankruptcy might be right for you. Again, depending on the certain scenarios that you're in, there's entirely too many to go through. Now, some of the pros from this, relief with dealing with multiple creditors. So we know when you start getting past due notices, when you start getting letters, when you start getting orders, when you start getting phone calls, bankruptcy stops all of that temporarily until you figure out exactly where you're going to do financially. You also do have a court-appointed representative. So you have a lawyer, you have someone that they can talk to. So instead of the creditors bothering you, they can actually have someone that is going to be kind of a point person on your behalf that is going to take care of a lot of different things. Now, assets are really the big thing. The asset protection is the big thing when it comes to bankruptcy that you do have to look at. It can prevent foreclosures of a home. It can prevent repossessions of a vehicle. It can even address back taxes. There is a lot of stuff that can be uncovered when you're going through the bankruptcy. And again, if you really get to a place where, there is no help, there is no coming back from the tipping point, you haven't been budgeting, you haven't been, you've been overspending for years. When you get to that tipping point, debts can be settled for less than what is owed. Now, that does not mean that they're all immediately, again, going to be completely forgiven, but they might be settled for less than what you owe. So if you owe $10,000, the bank or credit union might take $3,000 in settlement for the debt that is owed through the bankruptcy. Again, a lot of people have a common misconception that if they go into bankruptcy, everything is going to be absolved. They're not going to have to pay anything. And also there are certain rules and regulations that you do have to follow to even file bankruptcy. If you're a person that makes a lot of income and you're just not good at managing it, sometimes judges will deny the bankruptcy, that they will actually not let you file bankruptcy because you have more than the ability to pay the bills that you currently have. Now, another thing to remember, guys, is the decisions are final. That is one of the big thing, guys, is the decisions that are there, they cannot be reversed. When a judge makes the ruling, when the bankruptcy is set, it is what it is. Essentially, there isn't really much coming back from there. But for a lot of people, it gives you a fresh start, guys. You can start over again with the financial life, reestablishing your credit, start to rebuild. If you see, late pays after late pays after late pays on your credit score, it is going to absolutely crush your credit score, guys. We talked about credit scores in earlier videos, as well as budgeting. It is going to devastate your credit score when you do go through the bankruptcy for a considerable amount of time. Now, in addition, there are lenders that, one, if you have a bankruptcy, there is a certain time frame before they can even lend. Two, for some institutions, if you do have open collection items, they will not lend to you at all. It is a common practice that it is kind of a no lending zone or no, that they will not move forward with anything. Now, after bankruptcy has been completed, so it's been filed, it's all been discharged, everything is completed with it, that is when kind of the rebuilding process starts. When you start, whether it's getting like a share secured card, whether it's getting a very small credit card, the number one thing you want to do, guys, is budget and make sure you're not going to be right back in this situation a number of years down the road, having to go through this entire process. if again it got to the tipping point of filing bankruptcy, there has to be a point where, enough is enough within your personal life or your financial life to really set aside and know what you're doing. Now, what are some of the cons of bankruptcy, guys? Assets could lose value. So if you do have assets, sometimes they do require you to liquidate some of those assets to pay off some of the items. You could lose your home, you could lose your car. There is a lot of stuff. In addition to that, the cost of bankruptcy is expensive as well. On average, it runs you about $2,000 for bankruptcy, which is pretty expensive if you're, an individual that cannot pay your current bills. To come up with another $2,000 to pay, the out of cost or the out of pocket cost for a lawyer could be a lot, depending again on your situation. Now, one big thing to remember, guys, and it is huge: federal student loans. So federal student loans are exempt from bankruptcy. So there was a time years ago that doctors, lawyers, a lot of different professions that are high profile would go through, accumulate all of the student loan debt. At the end of school, they would declare bankruptcy. They would literally clean the slate. Since then, they have amended the law. There's actually been a tax law that was passed a number of years ago that exemplifies student loans, federal student loans, from bankruptcy, meaning that you are still going to be responsible for that debt. But there's a lot of workarounds with that. There's a lot of income-based repayments. There's a lot of different programs they have to help people who are struggling with an absorbent amount of student loan debt. Now, in addition, you could still be responsible for some of the debt. We've seen this before where, again, a lot of people go into bankruptcy. They think that they are going to be completely wiped clean, and it's not. They still are responsible for debt coming out of a bankruptcy, which again, depending on the lawyer and also the judge that rules on the bankruptcy, exactly what it's going to happen with that. Joint accounts, you could still be obligated to. Can be a long process. So we've seen this before where, a bankruptcy has taken a couple months. We've also seen special circumstances where it's taking a couple years, which again is incredibly difficult because going through this process, again, a lot of people have a different knowledge base on this, on how long it's going to take. Could lose your business, could get evicted from your place, could impact your job or career. Now, that is really a big one, guys. When it comes to a job and career, a majority of employers do pull credit when it comes to applications. So you do consent to a credit pull depending on the company you're looking for, which could definitely impact your job or your career, or even the ability to acquire a new job because they see there has been a bankruptcy in the past. Now, it will also, again, bankruptcy will very, very positively just crush your credit score. We talked about this just a couple minutes ago. Drop in credit score, absolutely. Gaining new credit will be difficult. A lot of places will not lend to you. Waiting to purchase a home, you're going to have to wait years before you purchase the home. Auto insurance carriers, they do base a lot of things on credit. So if you do have a bankruptcy, chances are your car insurance premiums could go up. Stays on your credit report for up to 10 years. That is right, guys. A decade of your life, this could stay with you. And once you do bankruptcy, guys, it is final. There is no coming back from bankruptcy. I've seen a lot of people that are right at this brink of thinking about bankruptcy, going through financial counseling, going through budgeting, going through planning, actually working with some of the creditors to repay some of the debt, even if it is less than what is owed. There are a lot of options before you get to this point, which is what I wanted to cover in today's video. So guys, that'll do it for the video. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. And as always, thank you guys for watching.